Just give me a couple of seconds while I set it up right now. So welcome to the live, guys. Today we'll be looking at the FOMC announcement. So just give me 1 second. So let's have a look here. Guys, welcome to the stream. I'm just editing the live info. So we'll be starting in just a second. So welcome to the channel, guys. Again, we'll be looking at the price of Bitcoin and how Bitcoin will be reacting to the announcement also. So I will be starting in just a second. So guys, join in, tune in, and we will be starting very, very soon. So just give me a second here. So there we go. Perfect. The FOMC will just be announced in under 10 minutes. So that will be perfect. And we're going to be looking at it live. So let's have a look. There we go. All right. Wow. We already have 112 people watching. So guys, welcome. And very soon we're going to be looking at the price of Bitcoin and how Bitcoin can react to the markets when the FOMC is live. So now I'm going to just switch to the price of Bitcoin just now so you guys can have a look at what is going on. So this is the price of Bitcoin currently. And we are seeing a rejection here. But guys, if you've watched my video earlier on today, very congratulations, because we hit the bullish target of the bullish pennant perfectly, which I'm going to be showing you guys very, very soon. However, I'm just going to tweet out this. I'm going to tweet out the live stream so people can join in, and I'm going to post it in the Telegram channel too, which you guys can join for absolutely for free in the link with the description below. So perfect. Now that the live is set up perfectly, guys, let me know in the chat if you can hear me well, if everything is cool, so you can let me know also over there. So perfect. Okay, so the FOMC interest rate will be announced in 7 minutes exactly. So we will be looking at the price of Bitcoin now. And also, guys, I do recommend over here. So I really like the economic calendar, which TradingView has. So basically, it shows you everything that's going on. I also use Forex Factory, but the TradingView one is also very, very nice. And you guys can sign up to TradingView with the link in the description below. You can get up to, I think, $30 towards your new plan. So that is absolutely awesome too. And guys, smash up the like button. Let's get this stream to, let's say, 200 likes. If we can get it to, that would be absolutely fantastic too. So yeah, make sure to leave a like. Okay. Perfect, clear and loud. That is awesome. So basically what happened was if I switch to the 1 hourly chart for Bitcoin, this was where I posted the video right over here. So we were forming this bullish continuation, this bullish pennant, and bullish pennants usually break towards the upside, hence why it's called a bullish pennant. And our target was exactly $28,763. And as you can see, we wicked just above it. And now, you could have taken profits there. So perfect, congratulations. I did enter a trade later on, but again, I don't like to trade news events because it is just too volatile and it's not for certain. Now we're seeing a reversal from this level as well. If I switch to the 4 hourly chart, we can see that we are still in this ascending parallel channel that I've been talking about in my videos very recently. So we're still inside here and we're almost reaching our $29,000 target as well, which I mentioned we could reach if the FOMC is announced well. Now, again, I'm going to mention the probabilities again if you haven't watched my video already. So basically, we want a lower interest rate, right? The prediction is 25 basis point increase. However, However, we do want either a zero or a decrease in the interest rates, because basically if the interest rates decrease, then the borrowing amount for people, it becomes cheaper. And if people are able to borrow more money at a cheaper price, then that benefits the economy very positively, because then people can go buy houses, can buy cars, etc. That is why the markets should pump, the traditional markets, if the interest rates are decreased. And also, if they decrease the interest rates, you guys know, I've been telling you guys that the banks have a lot of short-term treasury bonds which got screwed over because the Fed raised the interest rates pretty heavily pretty soon, and no one expected this. And because of this, the treasury bonds that these banks had, they lost drastically in value, which is why we saw the bank runs happening. So there is 5 minutes left for the there's 5 minutes left for the FOMC to be announced. I'm going to be watching it at the Federal Reserve official the official YouTube channel here, so you guys can watch it yourselves also alongside with the stream, because I will be doing the TA on this live stream as well. So you can be watching it on the Federal Reserve official YouTube channel. They should be streaming it here, so make sure to check it out also. But guys, do say hi in the comment section. I will look at your comments in just a second, and make sure to like it up if you guys are just joining. It'll be awesome if you can like the stream up. But let's look at the Bitcoin TA once more. So I want to actually look at how the other cryptos are performing. So Bitcoin is up 1%, but the very interesting thing is the Ethereum, BNB, other altcoins, they are on a downtrend, and it's only Bitcoin that is increasing much more compared to other altcoins. Now, what this suggests is that the Bitcoin, the dominance of Bitcoin is increasing compared to other altcoins. Now, this is super interesting, because of course Bitcoin is the medium of transaction for crypto. That's what we want Bitcoin to be. We want Bitcoin to be the new money, right? That's why as banks fail, right, even if the interest rates increase today, hypothetically Bitcoin should increase too. But again, nothing in this video is financial advice, just my own opinion only. But if the interest rates increase, that's bad for the banks. And if, then the banks would potentially, more and more banks would start to collapse, and then people would be potentially switching over to Bitcoin, right? So it's kind of a win-win situation for Bitcoin if the interest rates are announced higher also. So that is something to keep in mind as well. But Bitcoin dominance is increasing, and this is very crucial and very important. And I'm personally currently around 75% in Bitcoin. I don't really hold any other altcoins right now. I'm slowly starting to invest in lower cap gems. So that is what I'm personally doing right now. But let's switch back to the chart of Bitcoin. So again, this is the 4-hourly. We have this ascending channel forming, parallel channel. And if I switch to the 1-hourly chart, we got rejected from the perfect take profit for the perfect target we had of this bullish pennant forming on the video earlier on today. But guys, there is only 2 minutes left for the FOMC to be announced. So get ready, guys. It will be announced very soon, and I do expect a lot of volatility. So I'll be updating you guys live over here with the latest news and what's going on. So I will be letting you guys know what is happening and what it will be announced at. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and please do leave a like. That would be awesome from you guys. Let's get this live up to 200 likes, which would be absolutely phenomenal. So again, there is almost a minute left. And as you can see, this is a pretty big candle here. We are very volatile. And I'm personally, again, not trading this because I don't like to trade news events. And I personally only recommend, well, personally, right, I only, tell pro traders to, they usually tend to trade events. But again, of course, nothing in this video is financial advice, only my personal opinions and TA only. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just reading the comments. You guys are absolutely fantastic. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching the videos. I owe everything to you guys, and I will try to deliver the best content possible as always. So there is 1 minute until it will be announced, and I'm going to switch back to the economic calendar. So let's see what's going to happen. The projections will be released very soon, and the interest rate decision. So the forecast is 25 basis points. I think that was the most, around 85% chance. We checked, I'm not sure, I posted it in the morning, so let's see what happens. So let's see what's going to happen. Again, there is less than a minute now for the interest rates to be announced. So let's see what will happen. Again, I will be updating you guys live, so that will be perfect. And let me just show my socials here. So I found this very cool integration. I can put a QR code, and if you scan it, you can get a link to all of my socials as well, which is absolutely fantastic too. But there is a very interesting pattern forming, and Bitcoin is getting very volatile, and the FOMC rates should be announced right now, and Bitcoin is going absolutely crazy. So our resistance was our target. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're smashing it right now, and wow. Okay, Bitcoin is having a very okay. So they raised it by 25 basis points. This is live news right now. So the basis points the interest rates are increased by 25 basis points, which for Bitcoin is it's okay, right? So if it was 50 basis points. If it was 50 basis points, then it would have been a catastrophe, because a 50 basis point increase would be terrible for the economy, right? But you know, again, it would be essentially a win-win situation for Bitcoin. But I personally think if it was too big that, you know, the banks would start to have more pressure, yes, that could be good in Bitcoin in a hypothetical sense. But I do believe banks failing more and more is not too great either for Bitcoin, because of course, we need institutional investment into Bitcoin, and as much as, you know, Bitcoin will get that institutional investment after people realize banks are failing, I do think in the short term it is important for the interest rates to be staying low. Okay, so Bitcoin, again, it's having a very nice volatile candle, and again, for the guys that have just joined in, the interest rates have been released at 25 basis points, and this is what is happening right now. From the video earlier on today, we hit the take profit perfectly. So guys, I would recommend turning on your notifications very soon, because, okay, hold on, let's draw a Fibonacci line, because Bitcoin, again, it's moving pretty crazy, and I do not like to trade news events just because of this, because it is entirely speculation. So on the Fib retracement, I want to be looking at the 38.2 is a very good line, because it does collide with different candle touches here. So this $28,300 mark is very important resistance. So again, I'm not trading this. It's too volatile for me, but it is interesting to see what is happening for Bitcoin. So this candle, again, very interesting. We're still in this channel, this parallel ascending channel. And unless we break below or break above, then again, I'm not too concerned in terms of opening a trade or not. But I want to look at my macro chart also. So this is the macro chart I have on Bitcoin. And if you guys been watching my videos for a long time, and let me update the Telegram guys also with the basis point increase. So let me just go to my announcements channel, and there we go. Boom. So, okay, perfect. So this is my long-term macro chart for Bitcoin, and we have this massive continuation parallel channel forming on the price, and also this ascending parallel channel alongside this inverse head and shoulders pattern forming on the price. And I have been updating you guys in all of my videos in the last couple of weeks that if we break above this line with volume, it will be super bullish, and we could reach my 29.1, 29.2K target, because at this level, we have so many price touches, so many wicks that backtested to this level in the previous cycles of Bitcoin, that it is a very fundamental level for us to reach towards. And again, guys, let's leave a like if you can on the live stream. It would be much appreciated. Let's get this to 200 likes if possible. So let's see, let me have a look at your comments. So again, 25 basis points was the verdict, and of course that is okay, right? That is not super great, not super bad. That is an okay decision by the Fed, given which was done on purpose, of course. But let's have a look at the S&P as well. I want to have a look at what the S&P 500 is doing too. So the SPX is currently, it's having a bounce, right? It's having a bounce, and yeah, this is expected because, again, it's normal, right? It's normal. The S&P, it's the interest rate, the decision is, I think it's very smart. They played it very smart, right? So it's not terrible, it's not great also, but it is okay. It's okay for now. But this is my wrong chart. I think it was this chart that I want to be looking for. Oh, I wasn't sharing, sorry. I thought I was sharing the S&P. But let's have a look at the S&P over here. My bad, guys. But let's have a look. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share. Now, this is what the S&P is looking like. Now, we broke above this massive trend line. And I'm going to get rid of this because this is not relevant, but there we go. Okay, so Bitcoin is now above this trend line and the S&P is currently increasing back again. Now this is beautiful. So this is all TA. So let's do a refresher. Let's do some new analysis. And I love to do new analysis because it's great. So this is what we can see that's forming on the S&P 500, this ascending triangle. And of course, ascending triangles are super, super bullish. So if the S&P is able to make it back to this trend line and with volume, we can pump out, then my next target for the S&P will be 4,300. So that range over there. And of course, if the S&P increases, so does the price of Bitcoin. And I want to look at the DXY. Now this is called this represents the value of the US dollar. And whenever the DXY decreases, Bitcoin increases. Now, the reason for this is because Bitcoin has an inverse correlation. And if you trade Bitcoin against the US dollar, of course, if the US dollar drops in value, then Bitcoin increases in value because that's what you're trading it against, right? So that is super, super important. And again, I have been mentioning in my videos also that we were forming this head and shoulders pattern on DXY. And if the DXY were to reach this level back again, then it would be super, super bullish for Bitcoin because again, there is an inverse correlation, but this lucid SAR support is very crucial too on the weekly chart. So let's see what happens from here. But if the DXY were to do the head and shoulders and to successfully complete it, then the target is way, way below. In fact, it would be at around this level here. So you would measure usually the head, how long the height of the head, but I personally don't like to do that. I personally like to look at where the next big level of support is. And it looks like it's at the 97 range. Yeah, it looks like it's at this range of 97. You know, you could shift it around a little bit, but I think this is the range that we'd be looking at. So if the DXY were to break from this level, then we could potentially head all the way down to the 98 range, which of course would cause a massive, massive bull run on Bitcoin. So that is super, super crucial. So let's see what's happening here. I'm checking the comment section right now. Again, I'm personally not trading this. I only like my friends who are pro traders, right? Of course, I'm a trader, right? But I don't sit down 24 hours in front of the screen. I go to high school, I do content, I do a bunch of stuff. But you know, I used to do that, and when I was sitting in front of the screen 24 hours, yes, I would be trading this, but not currently because it's just too volatile, and I don't like too much volatility. I'm a swing trader at the moment right now, so that is what I'm doing, and I'm not going to be trading this personally because, of course, again, it's too much speculation, news event, and I don't like it. So if we switch back to the price of Bitcoin, again, this is a crazy, crazy candle. Again, it's wicked all the way down, it's wicked all the way up too, but this is the pattern that is forming currently on the 1 hourly chart. In fact, I'm going to edit it just in a second because it's getting invalidated as I speak. This is a bullish pennant pattern that is forming on the price of Bitcoin. Usually they break towards the upside, these bullish pennant patterns, but personally, again, for this pattern, I want a confirmation. I want a breakout and a retest, then it continued towards the upside because, again, this is a news event. So I want this candle to close, and when this closes, I want to see a retest and then a bounce towards the upside. Now, if that happens, my conservative target is always the height of the pennant itself. So if I measure it towards the upside and then put it above the breakout, let's say it broke here, right? Let's say it broke here, then my target would be around $28,900. You know what? I'm going to be even more secure. I'm going to put it at the end of the pennant, and that would give us a target of $28,895. So as you can see, the reason why I want a confirmation is because this candle is just crazy. So I wouldn't be trading this personally. I want a confirmation. I want to see the next candle and what it happens. But if we break towards the upside, this will be my target for the price of Bitcoin. But again, this can also break towards the downside. So what I always recommend is setting an alert. Right, setting an alert is very, very easy, and like this, of course, it hit it already, right? So this, as I said, I wanted confirmation, but usually I would be setting an alert to see where it's breaking towards. So you could set one towards the downside, you could set one towards the upside, and see what is happening. And if for a downside target, this would be where it would be. So that would be $28,360. So that would be the range we would be looking at. So that would be my downside target, and that would be my upside target. But there is a lot of resistance over here, so I would actually move my downwards target a bit above at $28,400. So now it's a red candle, right? So there's just too much volatility, and I don't like it. I don't think it's a nice time to trade because the FOMC is super volatile. Okay, so let me have a look at your comments right now. What is happening? So yeah. Nothing much. Okay, so yeah, Bitcoin is going all over the place. So if I check the economic calendar just a second as well. So currently there is the press conference in 20 minutes. I'm not going to be you know what, I'm going to go live as much as I can, because what happens is there is a Fed press conference that happens at 10:30. So, in 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the interest rate itself is revealed. And basically the Fed chair, when he says stuff, all right, he tends to say stuff like, okay, this month inflation is going to decrease, or, it's been higher than expected, or whatever. And whenever he says this, the markets go crazy as well. So this is actually the pre-thing of what is happening, right? So this is the pre-market movement. But the important thing is actually in 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, when he gives out when there's the FOMC meeting and when he speaks, the Fed chair, then there is the real volatility, and that's when the real price movement is actually happening. So again, the FOMC meeting in 20 minutes is super important. So if you can stick around until that, I will be trying to continuing to do this live stream until that event. If not, if I decide to end earlier, I will be updating you guys on the Telegram chat. And let me share my QR code again, right? So there you go. If you scan that, you have access to my Twitter, my Telegram channel, which is absolutely for free. And you can also see it in the link in the description below. So I will be updating you guys when something happens. If he says something, if the markets move, I will be updating you guys over there as well. So there you go. I left that QR code up there for you guys. And let's switch back into the charts too, because we want to see what Bitcoin is doing, of course. So if I switch to, okay, so now we're breaking down. Look, it's just crazy. It's all over. Did we already hit our take profit towards the downside? What's going on? And our upside target has been hit. Okay, this is absolutely crazy, right? So again, I want this candle to close, and then I want to see what is happening. I want a confirmation. If we're breaking up, I want to see that retest towards the downside and then boom, break up. Or if we're breaking down, we see a retest down and then go towards the downside if that's what's going to happen. But I don't want to comment now because again, in around 18 minutes, there's going to be a lot of speculation. People are going to be waiting for what the Fed chair says, and according to what he says, right, then the markets will move once more. But again, we're also at a very critical place in Bitcoin price too, because we're at the midway line of this ascending parallel channel that has been forming on the daily chart. Now, the midway line is actually pretty important because it does provide some resistance too. So that line is pretty important for us to hold, and it could determine if we're going to go up back towards the upper trend line or go back down towards the lower trend line. And personally, if we go back down towards the lower trend line, it won't be good at all because we've already retested this lower trend line a lot, right? And us retesting it again could mean that we would be breaking towards the downside, because think of trend lines like this. My mentor who taught me TA, he taught it to me like this. So, oh no, I wasn't sharing it, damn it. No, I keep on forgetting to switch. But basically, let me explain here. So basically, this midway line of this parallel ascending channel is very important for us to either remain above or below, depending, because as a trader you can make money both ways, right? But we want it to go up. So if we break towards the downside from here, which we're doing so, but again not confirmed, and come back down and retest this lower trend line of this ascending parallel channel, then it won't be nice whatsoever, because we've already retested it multiple times in the past. And think about trend lines like this. Think of it as crackers, right? The more let's say you have a thin slice of a cracker, the more you hit the cracker, the more weaker it becomes, right? So the weaker it becomes, the more likely it's going to break. And when it breaks, then boom, it breaks. So the weaker it becomes, the more likely it breaks. So that's why I would be watching out for this trend line. If we come back down towards it and retest it, then it won't be looking good for Bitcoin and could cause us to break towards the downside. So that is what Bitcoin is doing right now. And there is still 16 minutes for the meeting to be announced. But the guys that are coming new, let's smash up that like button, guys. That would be super nice. If we can do it, let's get it up to 200 likes at least. That would be perfect. And yeah, let's get this live trending. So I will be checking your questions in the chat if you have any. This is a time to leave it right now. So let me check the charts. Oh yeah, I wasn't showing it. Sorry guys. I just realized I wanted to. It's a bit weird. I haven't done many lives, by the way, on the channel, so I will be trying to do them more regularly. So yeah, this is more of an attempt. So there we go. Yeah, wrong chart. Yeah, sorry guys, my fault. But okay, let's have a look at the DXY also. So the DXY is falling, and yeah, it's falling pretty hard. So if I check the 1 hourly chart also actually for the DXY, you can see in the last hour, the DXY dumped pretty heavily right over here. So this candle shows that we have been dumping pretty hard on the DXY. And for the guys that don't know, DXY and Bitcoin are inversely correlated because, oh God, there's too many drawings on this. So Bitcoin and the DXY are inversely correlated, meaning whenever the DXY falls down, Bitcoin tends to go towards the upside. This is because when the dollar loses its value, Bitcoin gains value, right? So that's what it basically means. And in the last hour, we have been falling on the DXY. And in fact, Bitcoin has been decreasing. Bitcoin should have been increasing like crazy. So this is also something that I wanted to talk about. Bitcoin is losing its correlation with the traditional markets, which is super interesting. And whenever this happens, there tends to be a crazy price movement either towards the upside or towards the downside. So Bitcoin losing its correlation with the stock market, with the traditional markets, is super interesting. And it just means it's a time to be looking at the price very critically, because it could suggest there is going to be a massive price movement towards the upside or towards the downside. So that will be what's super interesting. But guys, thank you so much for watching the videos. I get your comments are absolutely fantastic. Please do make sure to leave a like if you can. But so there is actually 14 minutes left for the Fed meeting. And when that comes, again, as I said, during the Fed meeting, the interest rate hike is the first level of volatility that we face on the price. However, when the Fed chair speaks during the meeting, that is the second phase of volatility, because he says things like, inflation was greater than expected, or was lower than expected, or whatever. He says these things, and then the price of Bitcoin usually tends to be very volatile too. So make sure, I think it will be streamed on the Federal Reserve YouTube. I think so. It usually is. So you can check over here as well if you want to watch it. I'm not sure if I'll get copyrighted if I stream it here, so I'm not sure on this. So I will be still streaming most likely, but you can check the Federal Reserve official YouTube page and see what's happening, because there you go. So the FOMC press conference is what's super important, because when there's something here, price does tend to have a lot of volatility. So I would be checking over there. So let me share the price of Bitcoin again, and let's check the 1 hourly chart. So yeah, Bitcoin is going absolutely wild. It's going absolutely crazy. So if we check the 15-minute chart also, you can see that this week was crazy, and there is a lot of volume right now. There was a lot of bearish volume, which is not good. But yeah, so let's see what happens. And we've already hit the bearish target, by the way, that we placed earlier on this live stream. It was the height of this pennant. We've already hit it, which is pretty crazy. We've hit actually both the bullish and the bearish targets. So that's how volatile the price is currently, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, hi guys. Looking at the chat right now, you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for watching the content. You guys are fantastic. Please do let me know if sound is good, audio is good, everything is good. Let me know in the chat. That would be awesome, so I know if everything is okay, if I need to change anything. So yeah, this is the price of Bitcoin. We're shifting back to the price. Let's have a look at the heat map also. What is going on with all the cryptos? So this is awesome, by the way. So I do highly recommend, if you haven't signed up to TradingView, go to the link right now. Go to the description. You can get up to a $20 bonus put towards your plan on TradingView. So you can press the description and you can get a $20 bonus with TradingView, because you can get the economic calendar that's available. You can get the heat maps. You can put indicators, as many as you want, according to your plan. So if you use the link in the description below, you can get a discount, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, everything is fine. That's perfect. can you do a video explaining how to do shorts, longs on Bybit? Yes, I do have, I am planning currently to do a tutorial on an exchange next week. So stay tuned for that. I will be doing a tutorial on how to use an exchange properly, because I believe that's something a lot of beginners get stuck on. So we'll be definitely doing a tutorial on this on an exchange that I prefer to use. So let's see, stay tuned for this for next week. So that's perfect. So let's jump back into the price again, because Bitcoin is going crazy. It is fantastic, but stay tuned, guys, until 10:30. So until for another 11 minutes, stay tuned in the live. It may be a bit boring these next 11 minutes, but in 11 minutes, guys, there will be the Fed meeting, the FOMC meeting live. And when this happens, again, price tends to be even more volatile. So let's wait until the Fed official meeting, and then I'll be updating you guys on the price there too. So stay tuned in the live stream for another 10 or so minutes. And until then, I'm going to do my best to keep it interesting. In fact, let's do a little bit of a Q&A for you guys for this 11 minutes. If you want to get to know me more or anything, just shoot your questions in the chat. I will be looking at the chat right now. So how many accounts do you... So yeah, on Insta, guys, also be careful on Instagram, on Twitter, on any social platform. I only have one single account, okay? That is only one account. I will never DM you asking for money, trying to sell you something. It's absolutely crazy, okay? So make sure to never block all these accounts. They're scammers, okay? So one account only, keep that in mind. Okay, so how can you show us some TA? Well, look, I'm trying my best to teach TA over here in my videos. I try to explain what I do. So just stay tuned in my videos. I will do a course most likely. I will be launching it. I'm working on it right now, and I'm going to try to price it as low as possible so it's available for everyone. So I will be planning on doing a course. I am doing it right now. It will probably launch in the next 2 months, most likely. So let's... do I live in Dubai alone? No, I live with family. So yeah, I started trading when I started learning trading when I was 12, in fact. And I was just very interested in finance, and I really wanted to, have a job in finance, So I started researching about the stock market and how people make money from the stock market. I was very curious. So I just did a lot of research, went on YouTube, and one day I came across, Carl's videos and Da Vinci's videos. And that very interested me because I saw that, crypto is an easier market to, be able to start and get into. That's why it interested me very heavily. So I started watching Carl's videos, Da Vinci's videos, and then I slowly started to learn TA myself through YouTube, and then I started learning from textbooks, etc. Also from a man named Tone Vase. He's a beautiful technical analyst. You can check out his channel too. He taught me some of his TA tips and tricks, and I really studied for like 3-6 months. So that is what I recommend also. And for that 3 to 6 months, I only did demo trading. So if you're a new trader, I completely recommend just demo trading until you have, a good success history and you're okay to start trading. And then you can risk, this is what I did, again, not financial advice, but then you can start to put capital that you're not afraid of losing. And then you can start to trade with that. But again, I definitely recommend demo trading if you are a beginner. So, what else? Okay, BTC targets. Okay, that is a very relevant question. Again, personally, not trading this. It's just too volatile. I do not like to trade news events. However, we can shift what this pattern is looking like at the moment. So if we change what this pattern is looking like, because it's changed in the last like 10 minutes already, it is looking like a bull flag, right? It is looking like a bull flag on the 1 hourly chart. However, I am not trading this. Guys, I can't be more explicit. In the next 7 minutes when the meeting is live, Bitcoin can be over here. It can also be over here. So it's just going to be super, super volatile. And it's 100% speculation because we do not know exactly what he's going to say and how the markets will be affected. So this I don't do, okay? But important levels to watch out is this ascending parallel channel resistance, support, and the resistance as well over here. And this is basically on the 4-hourly chart. If I just show it to you very quick once more, on the 4-hourly chart, Bitcoin has been forming this ascending parallel channel. channel, and this is a pretty key channel, and these supports and resistances are very, very important to watch and for us to maintain in accordance to see what our next targets is. But again, my next targets would be if I switch to over here, if I go to Bitcoin USD, because this is my macro chart for Bitcoin, we can see that on the weekly chart. Is this my macro chart? Yeah, this is my macro chart. So my next target would be the 29.2, 29.1K range, because there is a lot of back tests to this level in the history of Bitcoin. So there will most likely be a lot of resistance. So again, if we come to this level with a lot of volume, then that is what is important. In fact, let's have a look at the VPVR. There we can see the volume targets for Bitcoin as well. So if I switch to the daily chart, in fact, let's switch to the weekly chart, because as the time intervals increase, the more accurate it actually is. So in fact, so that would mean the weekly chart is actually better than the daily chart to analyze, because it's more accurate data hypothetically. But currently there is a lot of volume at this range, at the 21.1K range. So this range over here, if we ever fall down, is super, super important. And in fact, it could be a very nice buying point and a place to be DCAing in. Personally, I am DCAing in a lot very recently. I've been DCAing a very, very critical amount in the last couple of weeks. So this place, if we ever come down, I have buy targets over here, because it is a very important point and there is a lot of volume buy orders over there. So that is my first place that I'd be buying if we were ever to come down. However, over here, we do not have a lot of volume, which is pretty interesting. We have a lot of volume below here, we have a lot of volume over here, but the level we're at right now, there isn't much volume, which is actually very, very interesting. So it will be critical to see what happens. So I do want to break this 29K level though before anything happens. So that is the level I am watching out for. But guys, only 4 more minutes remaining. I'm super happy I was able to keep you guys entertained for this time, because it is a long live stream. So hope you guys are enjoying. But let me check the wrong screen. Yeah, sorry. It's hard to change all the time. So let me have a look at the chat, what is going on. Oh yeah, so the name was Tone Vase. Let me share his name in the chat also. So Tone Vase. There we go. That is what it's called. His channel is called. He's a super dope guy. I really like his analysis. And guys, it's super important, right, to look at as many traders as possible and look at because again, TA is just based on perspective. I may see one thing, the other person may see another thing. So it's always nice to compare and contrast and then come to your own conclusions. So that is what I would recommend. Okay, perfect. So we have actually 3 minutes left until the meeting is live. I'm going to be checking if I can stream it, because if I can stream it, then that's dope. And I will be switching to the Bitcoin chart also right now on the 1 hourly, because we are about to see a lot of volatility. And again, be careful, guys. This volatility could be pretty insane. So let's see what happens. He may not say anything shocking also. So let's see what happens. But yeah, just 2.5 more minutes remaining, and then there will be the live press conference being held. But guys, let's pump this stream. Leave a like if you do enjoy the stream. Again, it is around 10:30 where I am, 10:30 p.m. So it's a little late, but it'd be awesome if you guys can leave a like. That would make my day. So I can stream it. Okay, all right, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you guys for helping me out on the chat. So I will stream it. Why not? I will put it in the stream, and let's see what happens. I'll try it out. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But if it works, then why not? Crypto Kid, you can stream it. Awesome. Okay, he's already streaming it. Okay, perfect. That's perfect. So let me actually refresh and see if they are already live. Yes, they are already live, but it hasn't started yet. Okay, there's 29,000 people watching it right now. It is going to start in 2 minutes. So when it does start, I will be putting it up here. So just wait for 2 more minutes, and then there will be a lot of price volatility. And let's see where the Bitcoin price goes with the volatility. Oh, thanks guys. Thank you for the beautiful comments. You guys are absolutely fantastic. I appreciate you guys so much. And the reason why I do this is because of you. So do this for you guys, not for myself, but I feel responsibility. So it's awesome to have you guys watching the videos, and it's just experience for me. I like doing this, and I really do enjoy that you guys are enjoying. So that's perfect. But again, less than 2 more minutes left for the FOMC stream to be starting. So stay tuned. 1 minute remaining. There is going to be a lot of volatility, most likely. So just stay tuned. And this is the pattern we're seeing on Bitcoin currently. It does look like a bull flag, but again, for me to open or initiate any other trade, I want a confirmation, either a break towards the upside, with a retest down and then price movement towards the upside, or a breakdown, retest, then price moving towards the downside, because this is super, super critical, and there is a lot of price speculation. But again, my targets would be, okay, it's starting very, very soon. So let me just make sure that we have it live here, but I will be getting back to my targets in just a second. So it's about to start. It's about to start, less than a minute remaining. And let me see what's going on over here. So it still hasn't started, still has not started, but it will very, very soon. So guys, stay tuned, because again, there could be a lot of volatility. Just watch out. See, Bitcoin isn't moving heavily right now because everybody is waiting for what the press conference is going to be looking like. Okay, it's 10:30, should be starting. Okay, yep, it is starting. So let me switch it to over here. Again, I hope it's fine. I hope I won't get copyrighted or anything, but let's see what's going on over here. So let's share this tab instead. And guys, let me know if you can hear audio, if everything is perfect. I'll probably be quiet for a while and then listen to what's going on. So man, let's see what's happening. It's super, super nerve-wracking because, again, Bitcoin is waiting for this. Bitcoin is waiting for what the announcement will be. I'm personally waiting for what the announcement will be. So yeah, it's super late. I'm super tired, but again, we got to keep on the grind, keep on the hustle. And by the way, the thing that I've learned through my journey so far is if you're persistent with what you do and you have pure and good intentions, you'll be successful no matter what. And I'll leave you with that advice, but the Fed chair is about to speak, so it happens.
Good afternoon.
Okay, let me mute.
Before discussing today's meeting, let me briefly address recent developments in the banking sector. In the past 2 weeks, serious difficulties at a
Let me know
small
if you can
number
hear
of
me, by
banks
the way.
have emerged.
The Fed chair.
History has shown that isolated banking problems, if left unaddressed, can undermine confidence in healthy banks and threaten the ability of the banking system as a whole to play its part in supporting the savings and credit needs of households and businesses. That is why, in response to these events, the Federal Reserve, working with the Treasury Department and the FDIC, took decisive actions to protect the U.S. economy and to strengthen public confidence in our banking system. These actions demonstrate that all depositors' savings and the banking system are safe. With the support of the Treasury, the Federal Reserve Board created the Bank Term Funding Program to ensure that banks that hold safe and liquid assets can, if needed, borrow reserves against those assets at par. This program, along with our long-standing discount window, is effectively meeting the unusual funding needs that some banks have faced and makes clear that ample liquidity in the system is available. Our banking system is sound and resilient with strong capital and liquidity. We will continue to closely monitor conditions in the banking system and are prepared to use all of our tools as needed to keep it safe and sound. In addition, we are committed to learning the lessons from this episode and to work to prevent events like this from happening again. Turning to the broader economy and monetary policy, inflation remains too high and the labor market continues to be very tight. My colleagues and I understand the hardship that high inflation is causing, and we remain strongly committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal. Price stability is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve. Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. The U.S. economy slowed significantly last year, with real GDP rising at a below-trend pace of 0.9%. Consumer spending appears to have picked up this quarter, although some of that strength may reflect the effects of swings in the weather across the turn of the year. In contrast, activity in the housing sector remains weak, largely reflecting higher mortgage rates. Higher interest rates and slower output growth also appear to be weighing on business fixed investment. Committee participants generally expect subdued growth to continue. As shown in our summary of economic projections, the median projection for real GDP growth stands at just 0.4% this year and 1.2% next year, well below the median estimate of the longer-run normal growth rate. And nearly all participants see the risks to GDP growth as weighted to the downside. Yet the labor market remains extremely tight. Job gains have picked up in recent months, with employment rising by an average of 351,000 jobs per month over the last 3 months. The unemployment rate remained low in February at 3.6%. The labor force participation rate has edged up in recent months, and wage growth has shown some signs of easing. However, with job vacancies still very high, labor demand substantially exceeds the supply of available workers. FOMC participants expect supply and demand conditions in the labor market to come into better balance over time, easing upward pressures on wages and prices. The median unemployment rate projection in the SEP rises to 4.5% at the end of this year and 4.6% at the end of next year. Inflation remains well above our longer-run goal of 2%. Over the 12 months ending in January, prices rose 5.4%, excluding the volatile food and energy categories. Excluding those, core PCE prices rose 4.7%. In February, the 12-month change in the CPI came in at 6%, and the change in the core CPI was 5.5%.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it for a second here because Bitcoin is moving pretty significantly. So Bitcoin is dumping, right? Bitcoin is having a massive, massive dump. And this is my level of support. So if we go below this ascending parallel channel support, it'll be catastrophic for the price of Bitcoin. So we have to hold this level. And as you can see from around this level, Bitcoin is getting rejected back towards the upside. So again, the stuff he said, pretty bearish. And yeah, we are dumping like crazy on the price of Bitcoin. So again, stay safe, right? No need to panic, in my opinion. I'm not panicking. This is all right. Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, this is a very small price drop. So let's stay put. Okay, let's stay put. This is a very important level for us to be holding, right? And if Bitcoin continues to fall, then my next level of target, of course, wouldn't be very nice, because this, again, ascending parallel channel is a pretty important target. And by the way, if you've watched the past videos, this was a beautiful pattern. We broke up towards the upside perfectly as well. But yeah, Bitcoin is about to break towards the downside. We're now sub $28,000 once again. If we do break towards the downside, I have two targets. Now, the first one will be this ascending parallel channel's height. So this will be my first downside target, and that would be at $26,500. And the next one will be the half length of it, because with channels, right, you can measure the full length and the half length of it as well at the same time. So my half length target would be $27,200. So potentially after this confirmation, again, I'm not trading this candle. I'm going to wait for another candle for potentially the daily candle, right? I want to see tomorrow's candle open. I'm not going to be trading this candle because, again, I don't trade news events. I don't trade the day after or the day before the news event either. So if we break below here, my first target would be here, my first take profit. Then my second take profit would be at that level. However, again, I'm not trading this until there's a confirmation candle tomorrow. But again, see, the wick is pretty crazy. There's still 22 more minutes for this wick to close. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that, because Bitcoin, oh well. So, okay, so let me go back to the speech. And if there is another significant price drop, I will get back into the chart. But for now, we can go back into the FOMC speech and let's see what's going on. So let me take it to the furthest.
Remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. The Fed's monetary policy actions are guided by our mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are highly attentive to the risks that high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. At today's meeting, the committee raised the target range for the federal funds rate by a quarter percentage point, bringing the target range to 4.75% to 5%. And we are continuing the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings. Since our previous FOMC meeting, economic indicators have generally come in stronger than expected, demonstrating greater momentum in economic activity and inflation. We believe, however, that events in the banking system over the past 2 weeks are likely to result in tighter credit conditions for households and businesses, which would in turn affect economic outcomes. It is too soon to determine the extent of these effects, and therefore too soon to tell how monetary policy should respond. As a result, we no longer state that we anticipate that ongoing rate increases will be appropriate to quell inflation. Instead, we now anticipate that some additional policy firming.
That was a very important point, by the way, what he said.
We will closely monitor incoming data and carefully assess the actual and expected effects of tighter credit conditions on economic activity, the labor market, and inflation. And our policy decisions will reflect that assessment. In our SEP, each FOMC participant wrote down an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what that participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. If the economy evolves as projected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 5.1% at the end of this year, 4.3% at the end of 2024, and 3.1% at the end of 2025. These are little changed from our December projections, reflecting offsetting factors. These projections are not a committee decision or plan. If the economy does not evolve as projected, the path for policy will adjust as appropriate to foster our maximum employment and price stability goals. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the totality of the incoming data and their implications for the outlook for economic activity and inflation. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Reducing inflation is likely to require a period of below-trend growth and some softening in labor market conditions. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
The questions are also very important, so listen carefully. I will be updating if there's price
Colby
movement.
Smith with the Financial Times. How confident is the committee that the recent stress that we've seen and you've alluded to is contained at this point, and that deposit flight among mid-sized lenders in particular has ceased?
Thanks. So I guess our view is that the banking system is sound and it's resilient. It's got strong capital and liquidity. We took powerful actions with Treasury and the FDIC, which demonstrate that all depositors' saving banking system is safe. Deposit flows in the banking system have stabilized over the last week. And the last thing I'll say is that we're undertaking a thorough internal review that will identify where we can strengthen supervision and regulation.
Okay, just a quick follow-up. I mean, given all of the stress and the uncertainty that you've also alluded to in the statement, how seriously was a pause considered for this meeting?
So we did consider that in the days running up to the meeting, and you see the decision that we made, which I'll say a couple things about. First, it was supported by a very strong consensus, and I'll be happy to explain why. And really it is that the intermeeting data on inflation and the labor market came in stronger than expected, and really before the recent events, we were clearly on track to continue with ongoing rate hikes. In fact, as of a couple of weeks ago, it looked like we'd need to raise rates over the course of the year, more than we'd expected at the time of the SEP in December, the time of the December meeting. We are committed to restoring price stability, and all of the evidence says that the public has confidence that we will do so, that we'll bring inflation down to 2% over time. It is important that we sustain that confidence with our actions as well as our words. So we also assess, as I mentioned, that the events of the last 2 weeks are likely to result in some tightening of credit conditions for households and businesses, and thereby weigh on demand, on the labor market, and on inflation. such a tightening in financial conditions would work in the same direction as rate tightening. In principle, as a matter of fact, you can think of it as being the equivalent of a rate hike, or perhaps more than that. Of course, it's not possible to make that assessment today with any precision whatsoever. So our decision was to move ahead with a 25 basis point hike and to change our guidance, as I mentioned, from ongoing hikes to some additional hikes, maybe some policy firming may be appropriate. So going forward, as I mentioned, in assessing the need for further hikes, we'll be focused, as always, on the incoming data and the evolving outlook, and in particular on our assessment of the actual and expected effects of credit tightening.
Mr. Chairman, can you explain the difference between ongoing rate increases and firming? Does firming imply a rate increase per se, or could policy firm without you increasing rates?
No, I think it's meant to refer to our policy rate. Really, I would focus on the words may and some, as opposed to ongoing. So we clearly were, what we were doing there was taking on board trying to reflect the uncertainty about what will happen. I mean, it's possible that this will turn out to have very modest effects. These events will turn out to be very, very modest effects on the economy, in which case, and inflation will continue to be strong, in which case, the path will might look different. It's also possible that this potential tightening will contribute significant tightening in credit conditions over time, and in principle, if that means that monetary policy may have less work to do. We simply don't know. So.
Do you have concerns that the hike you did today could further exacerbate the problem in the banks?
No, I mean, we're with our monetary
Very
policy,
important
monetary
question.
policy, we're focused on macroeconomic outcomes. In particular, we're focused on this potential credit tightening and what can that produce in the way of tighter credit conditions. I think when we think about the situation in the banks, we're focused on our financial stability tools, in particular our lending facilities, the discount window, and also the new facility.
There was no definitive answer, I think.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, in your testimony 2 weeks ago, you had indicated you thought the terminal rate would be higher. Obviously, that was before the stress in the banking sector. And I realize there's a lot of uncertainty, but can you explain at all to what extent your forecasts or colleagues or those of the board staff incorporated today a material tightening of credit availability because of the stress in the banking sector, or are you waiting to see it in the data before you incorporate that potential tightening into your forecasts?
So, we've just come from an FOMC meeting, and the people who write the minutes will be very carefully counting, but I'll tell you what I heard. What I heard was a significant number of people saying that they anticipated there would be some tightening of credit conditions, and that would really have the same effects as our policies do, and that therefore they were including that in their assessment, and that if that turned out not to be the case, that in principle you'd need more rate hikes. So some people did reflect that in their SEP forecasts.
Bitcoin's
There may also
holding
just have
28K
been,
very
remember,
nicely, by the way,
12
right
days
now.
ago.
We're actually at
We're trying to assess something that's just
28,400.
so recent.
I want this to continue, but I will get into the
it's very
analysis in
difficult.
just a
There's
second.
so much uncertainty. So December was a good place to, and we wound up with very similar outcomes for December. And in a way, the data in the first part, the first 5 weeks of the intermeeting period, pointed to stronger inflation and stronger labor market. So that pointed to what we did was early Monday morning we sat down and said, let's do this, and he was obviously going to lead it in his capacity. So I don't, my role was to announce it, and I get briefed on it, but I'm not involved in the work of it.
Okay, guys, I will be switching to the price of Bitcoin for just a second right now.
Chair Powell, Howard Schneider from Reuters.
Because
so,
let me
I
give
want
it
to
a
go back
pause.
to your
So the price of Bitcoin is going absolutely wild. So what happened was I will be switching back in just a second, don't worry. This level was held very, very nicely, which I discussed about. So this is the ascending parallel channel support. So we held that very, very nicely, and we got rejected back again. And now we're, funnily enough, in this bull flag once more, but again, not trading it, but just wanted to give you an update because this is very, very important. This level is super critical too. This level here is also critical, but I will discuss that later into the video. But for now, let me jump back into the FOMC speech, because that is also super important.
Housing services is really a matter of time passing. We continue to see the new leases being signed at much lower levels of inflation. So that's 44% of the core PCE index, where you've got a story that's ongoing. Where we didn't have in February, and we still don't have now, is a sign of progress in the non-housing services sector. And that is, that's just something that will have to come through softening demand and perhaps some softening in labor market conditions. We don't see that yet. And that's of course, 56% of the index. So the story is pretty much the same. I will say that the inflation data that we got, to your point, really pointed to stronger inflation.
If I could follow up on that, I was curious why you don't see more coming from the credit crunch, because it seems to me that's something that you'd actually welcome to a degree and expect. And are you not seeing more coming from that because you don't know, or because you just don't want to have another round of wishful thinking?
So it's really just a question of not knowing at this point. There's a great deal of literature on the connection between tighter credit conditions, economic activity, hiring, and inflation. Very large body of literature. The question is, how significant will this credit tightening be, and how sustained will it be? That's the issue. And we don't really see it yet. It's so people are making estimates, people are publishing estimates, and but it's very kind of rule of thumb guesswork almost at this point. But we think it's potentially quite real, and that argues for being alert as we go forward, as we think about further rate hikes. For us, we'll be paying attention to the actual and expected effects from that.
Gina. Hi, Chair Powell. Gina Smilik from the New York Times. Thank you for taking our questions. I wonder if you could talk a little bit, I know that you've got your internal review coming, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you think happened with oversight at Silicon Valley Bank, and whether this suggests that something about regulation and supervision needs to actually change going forward. And I wonder, how can the American people have confidence that there aren't other weaknesses out there in the banking system, given that this one got missed, as you noted?
So let me say what I think happened, and then I'll come to the questions around supervision.
So at a basic level,
Silicon Valley Bank management failed badly. They grew the bank very quickly. They exposed the bank to significant liquidity risk and interest rate risk, didn't hedge that risk. We now know that supervisors saw these risks and intervened. We know that the public saw all this. We know that SVB experienced an unprecedentedly rapid and massive bank run. So this is a very large group of connected depositors, concentrated group of connected depositors, and a very, very fast run, faster than the historical record would suggest. So as for us, so for our part, we're doing a review of supervision and regulation. My only interest is that we identify what went wrong here. How did this happen is the question. What went wrong? Try to find that. We will find that. And then make an assessment of what are the right policies to put in place so that it doesn't happen again, and then implement those policies. It would be inappropriate for me at this stage to offer my views on what the answers might be. I simply can't do that. Vice Chair Barr is leading this, and I think he's testifying next week, so, but that will be up to him. So that's really where it is. The review is going to be thorough and transparent. It is clear, to your last question, it's clear that we do need to strengthen supervision and regulation. And I assume that there will be recommendations coming out of the report, and I plan on supporting them and supporting their implementation.
Sorry, and the final point, can we feel confident that these weaknesses don't exist elsewhere, given that they got missed at this bank?
These are not weaknesses that are at all broadly through the banking system. This was a bank that was an outlier in terms of both its percentage of uninsured deposits and in terms of its holdings of duration risk. And again, supervisors did get in there, and they were, as you know, obviously, they were on this issue, but nonetheless, this still happened, and so that's really the nature of the of the review, is to discover that.
Yeah, he didn't say
Mike
that
McKee from
other
Bloomberg,
banks are
Radio and
under
Television.
pressure.
You've
so
been very consistent
smart.
in saying that the Fed would be raising interest rates and then holding them there for quite some time. Following today's decision, the markets have now priced in one more increase in May, and then every meeting the rest of this year, they're pricing in rate cuts. Are they getting totally wrong from the Fed, or is there something different about the way you're looking at it, given that you're now thinking that moves might be appropriate as opposed to ongoing?
So we published an SEP today, as you will have seen, and it shows that basically participants expect relatively slow growth, a gradual rebalancing of supply and demand in the labor market, with inflation moving down gradually. In that most likely case, if that happens, participants don't see rate cuts this year. They just don't. I would just say, as always, the path of the economy is uncertain, and policy is going to reflect what actually happens rather than what we write down in the SEP. But that's not our
The path of the
basic
economy is uncertain.
Follow up
That's an
and ask-
important thing he said.
As you look forward into the rest of the year here, are you saying that what you see and the 5.1% basically consensus is based on it will be sufficiently restrictive, or is it leavened by the idea of you don't know what's going to happen? In other words, what should people think about in terms of how the Fed thinks about how far it is from the terminal?
It's going to depend. Remember, we're looking for purposes of our monetary policy tool, we're looking at what's happening and asking, is there going to be some tightening in credit conditions? And then we're thinking about that as effectively doing the same thing that rate hikes do. So in a way, that substitutes for rate hikes. So the key is we have to have policies got to be tight enough to bring inflation down to 2% over time. It doesn't all have to come from rate hikes. It can come from tighter credit conditions. So that we're looking at, and it's highly uncertain how long the situation will be sustained or how significant any of those effects would be. So we're just going to have to watch. In the meantime, and obviously at the end of the day, we will do enough to bring inflation down to 2%. No one should doubt that.
Go to Rachel Siegel.
Hi, Chair Powell. Rachel Siegel from the Washington Post. Thank you for taking our questions. I know we've talked a bit about how Silicon Valley Bank was unique to a certain sector of the economy, but there's also growing concern that there are financial stability risks from the commercial real estate market and loans that will begin to roll over later this year and next, and that smaller regional banks also disproportionately hold those loans. Is there a risk that could mimic the kind of what we saw with SVB to banks that disproportionately are focused in commercial real estate?
So, we've well aware of the concentrations people have in commercial real estate. I really don't think it's comparable to this. The banking system is strong, it is sound, it is resilient, it's well capitalized.
The banking system is strong.
I really don't see that as at all analogous.
Let's
to this.
see.
Another question. Would you be open to an independent investigation separate from the Fed's probe?
I welcome. It's 100% certainty that there will be independent investigations and outside investigations and all that. So we welcome, when a bank fails, there are investigations, and of course, we welcome that.
Edward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. Inflation has been rather sticky, so do you need help from the fiscal side to get inflation down faster?
We don't assume that. We don't give advice to the fiscal authorities, and we assume that we take fiscal policy as it comes to our front door, stick it in our model along with a million other things, and we have responsibility for price stability. The Federal Reserve has responsibility for that, and nothing is going to change that. So we will get inflation down to 2% in time.
And if I could follow on that, but they're working, the spending that's happened is working against what you are doing, right? So it's prolonging inflation?
If you have to look at the impulse from spending, because spending was, of course, tremendously high during the pandemic, and then as the pandemic programs rolled off, spending actually came down. So the sort of fiscal impulse is actually not what's driving inflation right now.
But we also need to keep in mind, like stuff like
perhaps
printing money
inflation.
during
That's not
COVID,
really the story now.
stuff like this impacts the economy usually between 8 to 12 months later. So we are seeing the impacts of that money printing that happened 8 to 12 months ago currently in our economy right now.
Why is
So
this new
keep in
bank funding
mind.
facility done under emergency 13.3 authority as opposed to expansion of the discount window, changing the terms of the discount window that's been around a long time? And second, can you discuss the Fed's role in the FDIC guarantee of uninsured depositors and why there's $143 billion on your balance sheet last week supporting that deposit guarantee?
Sure. So 13.3 seemed like the right, we have a little more flexibility under Section 13.3. We've done quite a lot under the discount window as well. We needed to do a special facility that was designed a certain way, so we did it under 13.3. Really no magic to that. It's only available in unusual and exigent circumstances, and it has to meet certain requirements, but it seemed to be the right place. So with the FDIC, we're lending to the, in effect, we're lending to the bridge bank. So that's where the funds came from, and it's a loan that's 100% guaranteed by the FDIC, so there's no risk in it for us.
That was a very important
Thank
point,
you,
by the
Chris
way.
Rugaber and
Very
Associated Press.
important in terms of
The SEC
funds being
suggests one more rate hike, as
ineffective.
does the change in the language in the statement, in which suggests that you're perhaps nearing the end of a cycle of rate hikes. Do you feel, though, that if inflation remains high, you'll be able to resume additional hikes as needed, or have you somewhat tied your hands here with these signals about rate hikes coming to an end?
No,
Thank you.
absolutely not. No, if we need to raise rates higher, we will.
Uh-oh.
I think for now, though,
Uh-oh.
as I've mentioned, we see the likelihood
It's not good.
of credit tightening.
Not
We know
good.
that
Not good for the
can have
economy at all.
An effect on the macroeconomy, on demand, on labor market, on inflation, and we're going to be watching to see what that is. And we'll also be watching what's happening with inflation and in the labor market. So we'll be watching all those things, and of course we will eventually get to tight enough policy to bring inflation down to 2%. We'll find ourselves at that place.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thanks for taking the question. Kyle Campbell with American Banker. I have a couple questions about the balance sheet. First of all, I'm curious at what point the financial supports that the Fed is extending through the discount window and through its enhanced lending facility might be at odds with the objective of reducing the balance sheet. And I'm also curious what your thoughts are on not just the availability of reserves, but the distribution of them throughout the banking system. And at what point you might be concerned
I'm just going to share the price of Bitcoin because we're now going
So people think
we're going sub 28K again. I want to hold this level over here. Right? This is super critical, right? On the daily chart, this ascending parallel channel support is what I'm looking at, and we need to hold this level strongly, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's not looking good. I already gave you my bearish targets, and this would be my first take profit with a confirmation on the candle tomorrow. Again, I don't trade the day before, the day, and the day after news events because of speculation. But if we were to break below here and then have like a retest potentially, then break towards the downside, then yeah, it could be a possible trade. But yeah, we do have some resistance at 27.4K as well. And currently we're breaking below. Bitcoin is trying to break below, but again, it is pretty critical resistance. So let's see what happens. There is a lot of negative volume, which is not good whatsoever. So this is super, super critical. We want to hold this level for the future of Bitcoin. We need to hold here. We need to hold $28,000. It is a very, very, very important level for us to hold. It's super critical for us to hold it. So again, yeah, this is the level that I'm watching out for. I want to switch back, but we're now at 27.8 and we are falling below. We are falling below, but okay, yeah, is it? Nope, not yet. Okay, oh, There we go. No, it's teasing us. But yeah, it's not looking good. I mean, the fact that he said that they will continue to raise interest rates if inflation doesn't slow down is concerning because, of course, if interest rates increase, then not good for Bitcoin, not good for the economy. So yeah, that was concerning. That was, of course, very, very concerning. But again, Bitcoin is trying to hold that 28K level strongly. And by the way, wow, it's been already over an hour since we're an hour and 13 minutes. So yeah, this has been my longest live yet, I guess. But again, super important for us to hold that 18K level. And guys, if you scan that QR code at the top left-hand section, you can see all my socials, the Telegram channel, everything. You can follow me there. But yeah, that is what you can do if you scan the QR code. That would be awesome. If you give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, the Telegram group also, that'd be perfect. It's completely for free, by the way. But yeah, Bitcoin is at 27.8K right now. Again, we're trying to hold this level, but let's see what happens. Now I'm going to switch back to the FOMC and hopefully it ends soon because I'm super tired. So let's see what happens.
Special liquidity demands created by the recent tensions. It's not intended to directly alter the stance of monetary policy. We do believe that it's working. It's having its intended effect of bolstering confidence in the banking system and thereby forestalling what might otherwise have been an abrupt and outsized tightening in financial conditions. So that's working. In terms of the distribution of reserves, we don't see ourselves as running into reserve shortages. We think that our program of allowing our balance sheet to run off predictably and passively is working. And of course, we're always prepared to change that if that changes, but we don't see any evidence that that's changed.
Hi, Chair. Katerina Saraiva with Bloomberg News. The minutes of the January-February meeting, the last meeting, indicate that you discussed the possibility of runs on non-bank financial institutions and the impact of large unrealized losses on bank portfolios. Can you talk a little bit more about that discussion, kind of what was talked about in light of that? And then why didn't the Fed, do anything about that at that point to ultimately prevent, what happened this month?
I mean, to be honest, I don't recall the specifics of that. It's quite an interesting.
Right. Okay. Bitcoin is falling again once more, so I'm going to switch back to the chart. Yep, Bitcoin is falling below this level again. I want this candle to close because it could be a fake out, fake down. So again, I want a confirmation, and I don't like to judge candles before they close because it could end up completely different. So no need to FOMO. Again, these are my targets. These are my downside targets, but I'm not trading it because it's just I don't like to trade the day before, the day after news events because it's entirely speculation. But if we do continue to fall, these are my targets. This is the target of the ascending parallel channel. This one is the half line, so up to here, which is how you measure the targets of channels. And then this is the full length of the channel itself right over there. So those are the two spots that I would be looking for Bitcoin to come down to. But yeah, Bitcoin is having a massive turn down. And if I switch to the S&P is falling as well. And yeah, as I said, this the Fed speech is usually more volatile than the rate hike itself. So the S&P is currently falling down as well. And on the 1 hourly chart, what's not nice is that we had a lucid SAR sell, and it's usually accurate. And yeah, it's not looking good with a pullback on the S&P, potentially towards the $3,965 range. And if we come back below, yeah, then that's negatively impacting the price of Bitcoin as well at the same time. But let's have a look at the DXY. And this is not my DXY, this is my DXY chart. Okay, yeah, so the DXY is having a bounce here. And of course, DXY, Bitcoin, inversely proportional. That's why Bitcoin is having that little bit of a pullback. But let's jump back into the Fed speech right now. So let me jump back over here. Let's share it and then boom.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Greg Robb from MarketWatch. I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more color. You gave just a little bit of color. You said during the first week of the Silicon Valley weekend, you said the question you guys asked was, how did this happen when you saw Silicon Valley Bank? So I was wondering if you could go to the Credit Suisse merger. I mean, wasn't that the big gorilla in the room? Didn't you breathe a sigh of relief when that merger happened? Thanks.
Sure. So, you know, that was really the Swiss government. We, of course, were following it over the course of the weekend, and we were engaged with their authorities in the way that you would expect, all the ways that you would expect. It seems to have been a positive outcome in the sense that the transaction was agreed to, and it has been, the markets have accepted it, and it seems to have gone well, and I think there was a concern that it might not go well. So coming into the middle of this week, yes, I would say that has gone well so far.
Nicole.
Hi, thank you, Chair Powell.
Bitcoin is falling even more. We're at $27,400, and in fact, we're reaching our first take profit zone over here. Again, didn't take this trade. Don't like the trade speculation, don't like the trade news. So we are reaching our first target of $27,200. This will be my first target for Bitcoin if we reach to this level, and we're currently reaching it almost perfectly. So, well, I don't want to say congrats because again, I'm not trading, but if you did trade it, then yeah, congratulations, because yeah, we almost perfectly hit it over here, but we're seeing a little bit of a rejection. Let's see if we do continue and come down to hit it. I would personally start to take profits, maybe take some of it, but yeah, again, your decision, not financial advice. Personally, what I would do, but yeah, again, these are my two targets over here. So this is my first, this is my second one, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last because I want to sleep. I'm tired, but yeah, these are my two targets that I would be looking. Oh no, I'm not sharing my, damn it. Okay, there we go. Here we go. So basically, Bitcoin is coming down right here, and yeah, my first take profit. We're almost over here. So congrats if you decided to take it. Again, I didn't take it, but you know, it almost hit it perfectly. But again, I would potentially start to take some profits right now, but over here is my second target. So let's see what happens. I want a confirmation before I do anything, so that I wanted to update you guys very quick with. Now again,
We're very focused on.
I don't know how long the Fed is going to be continue to talk because yeah, it's getting pretty late. It's already 11:10 p.m. Where I am, but let me just stream it for another 5 more minutes. And if Bitcoin does anything interesting, I'll jump in. We're at 27.3 right now, and yeah, let's see what happens. Let me jump back into the Fed speech. And then yeah, I will end off after 5 more minutes potentially. So let's see what happens over there. But I will be doing a Bitcoin update video in the morning. I'll try to do it in the morning. So let's see what happens over there. But let's go to the conference, the press conference. So share this tab. And I want to go here. So there we go.
Comply with these citations, take them seriously. How will you enforce them?
That is a great question and is right in the heart of what the review will be doing under Vice Chair Barr's leadership. So that, I think that's what you think about, you know, what can we do to make sure, but again, that's not for me to answer today.
I have specific thoughts on that.
Well, I see, if I did, I wouldn't share them because I really, you know, this review is going on, and you know, I want nothing other than us to find out what happened and why, figure out what we can do to do better, and then implement those changes. That's all I want. It's for me to be giving you my half-formed or partially informed thoughts. You know, it just isn't appropriate. There's a real serious review going on with people from all over the Federal Reserve System who are not connected to this, you know, to this work, not connected to this bank, and under again Vice Chair Barr's leadership, and I'm confident that it will produce a satisfactory result.
Okay, we'll go to Jennifer for the last question.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. Curious, how do you view financial conditions right now? If credit becomes expensive enough, choking off growth, as you said you're watching for, would that situation cut?
So my
And
first
have the
take
bank
profit
failures
is hit.
prompted any discussion
My first
around
target
changing
take profit is
implementation of
hit.
the balance sheet runoff?
This is the last question.
So
So
we
let
haven't
me
really
just
talked
mute
about
again.
changing the balance sheet.
That discussed yet. As I mentioned, we're always willing to change that if we conclude that it's appropriate, but we're really not seeing any signs there. Sorry, then the question before that was, just give me a...
curious how you view financial conditions now, and if
Yeah,
credit were
okay.
to tighten enough, if that would prompt a rate cut.
So, financial conditions seem to have tightened, and probably by more than the traditional indexes say, because the traditional indexes are focused a lot on rates and equities, and they don't necessarily capture lending conditions. So we think that, though. So there are other measures which if they're focused on, bank lending conditions and things like that, they show some more tightening. The question for us, though, is how significant will that be, and how, what will be the extent of it, and what will be the duration of it? And then, once you know that, there's a fair amount of research about how that with broad uncertainty bands, how that works its way into the economy over what period of time. And so, so we'll be looking to see the first part of that, like how serious is this, and how does it look like it's going to be sustained? It could easily have a significant macroeconomic effect, and we would factor that into our policy decisions. I mentioned with rate cuts, rate cuts are not in our base case, and so that's all I have to say. So, thank you very much.
All right, guys, that is it. So I'm going to be switching back to the price of Bitcoin once more. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So we did the entire stream. It's been 1 hour and 24 minutes. I think the longest stream I've done so far. I am planning on streaming events like this in the future, but Bitcoin hit our first take profit target. If Bitcoin does continue to fall, my second target is around here, but we could also make it back into the channel as well. It will all depend on the price movement tonight. But unfortunately, guys, I am going to sleep because I'm super tired. But tomorrow morning, I will try to do a video update for you guys. But everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. Really do appreciate all the nice comments that I've had from you guys. And I'll see you guys super soon. So everyone, take care. Good night. If you celebrate Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. And I will see you guys very soon. So guys, take care and